everybody. I'm here to talk today about something a little bit different, and what I'm really going to talk about is the DC figures done by Mattel, in the sense of they're 12-inch and they're practically the same idea as the Hasbro's Marvel Hero Titans. They also, both Marvel and DC figures in this size on internet, among the people who don't really like them much, have names like shampoo bottle figures, and I still personally like them. I'm not really sure what the people are talking about. They're expecting highly detailed stuff when actually these figures are mostly aimed at children, and I actually think they're rather well done, even though they don't really have much weight to them. They are very light when you hold them. But anyway, why don't I just start showing you which ones I have here and discuss a bit about each of them. The first one I have here is Superman. This is the Superman based on the Superman vs. Batman movie. He has a cloth cape, and he has quite a bit of articulation. He can put his arms up, he can bend it at the elbow, and the wrist, the hands can turn at the wrist, and then no articulation in the waist, but he can do a split, as you can see. He cannot bend his legs at the knee though. So that's roughly all the articulation, and of course he can turn the head left and right, but not up and down. So that would be Superman from the Superman vs. Batman. Next one would be Batman from Superman vs. Batman, and this is how he looked in the movie, or at least one of his costumes from the movie. He can also have the same kind of articulation as Superman, meaning the arms can go up, they can bend at the elbow, and they can turn at the wrist, and he can do a split as well, but again, no articulation in the knees, and no articulation in the waist either. He can turn the head left and right, and that's roughly about that. They were both sold as individual figures, but they are also available, or they were available, in a 3-pack together with Wonder Woman, who also appeared in the movie. And they do exist in a 6-pack, which was, I believe, a Target exclusive, where all 3 of them are available in it, plus Lex Luthor, Aquaman, and I forget who would be the 6th one. I think a Lex Luthor soldier of some sort, or a robot. So that would be the Batman. This is another version of Superman, except this time he's based on a Batman animated series, but the idea is the same. He can, in this case, he's able to move his legs forward, which I forgot to mention, the previous 2 figures can do that too. They can move their legs forward, but they cannot move them backwards. So yes, forward. He can also do a split, full split that is. And he was rather packaged in smaller numbers than some of the other characters, like countless versions of Batman, in 100,000 versions or so. He can bend his arms at the elbow. Actually, he can do lifting of the arm up, bend at the elbow, and turn at the wrist. So this would be the animated version of Superman, which is almost similar to the movie one, in appearance that is. He also comes with a cloth cape that has no letter S like the old costume did, and he has also no articulation in the knees. So that's the other version of Superman, more based on the cartoon and also on the comics, where his costume would be known as a New 52 costume. Next one in line would be Cyborg, who is actually a member of the Justice League, but he's also a member of the Teen Titans. So Cyborg here can also lift his arms sideways, he can move them 360 degrees, he can bend at the elbow and has articulation at the wrist. The head can also turn left and right in a limited way, but still. And he can do a split, and also no articulation in the knees, and he can move his legs forward. Cannot move them backward. So that would be Cyborg. Next one is also a member of the Teen Titans, but he's also partnered with Batman and so forth and so forth. It's Robin. Robin was also rather difficult to find because, again, there was a sea of Batmans and very few Robins, if any, to be found. So he wasn't an easy one to find either. Usually the retail is overflooded with mostly Batmans, countless versions of Batmans. So he can put his arms up. He can move his head left and right, but mine is very tight, so I won't force it. I don't want to break it. And he can put his legs in a split. Again, no articulation in the knees, and he can move his legs forward but not backward, and he has a nice yellow cloth cape. And he's wearing one of the newer costumes, because I believe this is not Dick Grayson, the very first Robin. This is the third Robin, or I believe it's the third one. So yes, this would be the way his costume looks in the cartoon series. Next one we have Aquaman, and Aquaman here is based on Superman vs. Batman, where he had a small appearance, but of course he will have a major appearance in the upcoming Justice League movie this year, later this year. However, he did not come with any weapon, so there was no trident with him, which was very strange, because why would you even put him without his weapon? But okay, for some reason they did not, maybe thinking that the children could get hurt. He has, again, same articulation in the sense of moving arms up at the elbow and at the wrist. The head can move very little due to the fact that he has a very hard plastic hair, molded. The right arm cannot really move much sideways due to the fact that he has this shoulder pad that's blocking the movement. However, he can still move at the elbow and the wrist too. The legs can move forward about that much. He can also do a split, a full split, like so. And there is no articulation in the waist and none in the knees. So, next one is from a newer version of the 12-inch figures by Mattel. This particular Flash is based on that new cartoon series called the Justice League, but he comes in roughly the same size as all these previous figures, so he can easily blend in. So there is no difficulty in putting them together, in case you missed the Flash in the previous series of the 12-inch figures. So this one comes in his classic costume and is based on the present Justice League cartoon series. And he has more articulation than the older figures, so that's a vast improvement. He can put his arms up and 360 degrees, he can turn them around. There is articulation at the elbow and of course at the wrist. Still no articulation at the waist, but the head can move left and right, and he can do a full split, which is still kept there. And he does, this time around, he does have articulation at the knees, which is good, because you can pose him in a running pose like so, or at least emulate the fast running that he's known for. So that is one major improvement when it comes to these figures. The articulation is still lacking in the waistline, but that's a minor thing because at least the knees now have articulation themselves. So next one, or at least the final one as far as the heroes go, that I just found the other day. I was very happy to find him because I did not see him before, and now that I did, it was only one of him left. Again, I have the impression, the same problem of Superman and Batman flooding the shelves, and the rest of the characters are practically in small numbers yet again. So the same problem persists. he comes with a weapon which is another big change from the older version of the 12-inch ones. He actually comes with his bow. Doesn't come with the arrows though, but he comes with his bow, so you can emulate that he's firing an arrow. So he has articulation in the elbow and the knees as well, so you can really pose him as if he's about to shoot an arrow at the enemy, like so. You just gotta use a bit of imagination how to pose it, but relatively speaking, this is pretty much how that would look like. We'll have to pose the hand a little bit more, but anyway, you get an impression as if he's about to shoot an arrow at the bad guys. So this would be the figure of Green Arrow, the member of the Justice League, who also has a TV series, and he's been a known member of the Justice League, and he has no particular superpowers, but actually has no superpowers to speak of, but he does have very good agility, and he's a perfect archer, so he's able to shoot any kind of arrows, especially the trick arrows. So in a way, he's almost exactly the same kind of character as Hawkeye from the Avengers. The two of them are very much alike. Excellent shots with the bows and arrows, and both of them have very good archer skills. So that would be Green Arrow from the Justice League cartoon. And the only few bad guys that I have, because they did not release many of them, these would be from the previous line of the Batman. So here I have Joker. He didn't come with absolutely no weapons of any kind, nor even his fedora hat, which he's usually coming with. However, he is represented in his correct costume of wearing his purple tuxedo, and he does have articulation in the arms, so they can move sideways, they can move 360 degrees, there is elbow movement, there is a wrist movement as well, and the head can turn left to right, and of course the legs can go forward about that much, they cannot go backwards. He can do a split, and due to the fact that this is an older figure, he does not have knee articulation. But in the newer version that I already talked about, in the newer version of figures that the Green Arrow and Flash belong to, there is also a version of Joker there that has all these improvements, that has a different head sculpt and so forth, and looks more animated. But this one is still good, I would say. Even if he doesn't have any movement in the knees, doesn't really matter. I think he still looks pretty good. The next character that was released in the same line was the Riddler in his classic costume, meaning all green with purple gloves and a belt, and of course question marks all over him. He can do pretty much the same movements as Joker, and he didn't come with absolutely no weapons of any kind, but he can move his legs into a split. I don't want to do it too much with this particular leg because it's a little bit too tight and I don't want to damage it. It would be impossible to replace him anyway. So yes, the articulation, as I said, pretty much the same as it is the case with the Joker. And Riddler here, or as he's known by his real name, Edward Nygma, is a bad guy from Batman. But of course, he's been also known to fight the Justice League together with other bad guys, and he is in his classic costume, and as I said, unfortunately he doesn't have any weapons, and he is also lacking articulation in the waist and the knees. I don't see him being released again for the moment, but maybe in the newer line of the Justice League toys he might show up again with the improvements in the body movement. And the final figure I have from the bad guys, so all in all I have only 3. I have not seen any of the other ones, if there is any more. Would be, sorry, I almost forgot. I always mix the two characters. This would be Deadshot, and you guys can correct me if I am citing the wrong one. I always mix him and Deadpool and a few other ones who all look the same. But yeah, this would be Deadshot. He is known to be an excellent marksman and an assassin for hire, and he's obviously a bad guy. He's been facing anybody from Batman to Flash and any other members of the Justice League, and he also appears in the Suicide Squad movie that came out recently in the theaters. This is not the movie version, this is of course the version from the Batman cartoon series, and of course articulation is exactly the same. In other words, that there is no movement in the knees or the waist. There is a movement in the head and the arms. However, the shoulder pads he has somewhat impede the movement of the arms in the sense of sideways, but at least he can do it 360 degrees. Can move the arm at the elbow and at the wrist as well. And he comes with a very detailed belt that has all sorts of bullets and things of that sort that he's using in his missions. And he has these special guns molded onto his arms near the wrist, because that's practically what he's using to shoot with when he has a target. And he did not come with any actual weapons. Most of these figures don't really do, except the only major exception is the Green Arrow, from what I know, and probably the Wonder Woman, who I assume comes with her lasso at least. So he can do a split, but again, one of the legs is a bit too tight, maybe because the plastic got too tightened, and I don't like to move it too much, it might just break, because this is all hollow plastic after all. And I'm assuming they can be very fragile due to the fact that they are hollow. But as you can tell, based on at least the right leg, he can do a split. He can move his leg this much forward, he cannot move it backwards. And this particular belt he's wearing cannot be removed. I don't see a way of removing it unless you just cut it off. And the shoulder pads are also, it seems, glued to the shoulders. So that's about it as far as that goes. Again, he was one of the surprise finds because I wasn't really expecting that there is a figure of him. There is a few other bad guys out there, but most of them never showed up here in Canada for some reason. So I will probably never see the rest of them. It depends to be seen what will be shown among the rest of the characters in the Justice League 12-inch line. So with Deadshot here, and as I said, I sincerely hope I got him right, that it is a Deadshot, because there is another character from DC who is also an assassin. I hope I got him right. I do apologize if I got the name wrong, because as I said, Marvel and DC are using almost exactly the same characters who are all assassins or mercenaries or what have you, and they're getting me confused who's who. Of course, all three of these characters I'm talking about, such as Deadshot, Deadpool, and Deathstroke is the third one, who I finally remembered. They all wear the same type of costumes, more or less, with covered faces. They have guns, swords, bazookas, and God knows what. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, you can subscribe down below and keep following my channel. I will be having more discussions about other figures. I do appreciate you watching my video this time, and I'll catch you guys later. Thank you. Bye.